untapped reservoir of the talent in the world. On this note, I would like to introduce our speaker for today's show, that is Lieutenant Sandhya Suri. A big hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers. We feel proud in continuing with our series of talks, Jai Hind, with eminent speaker on board and our very own Efauji Talk Show. I am Shavinder Kaur, the brand ambassador, anchor of the wonderful, power-packed global talk show series, hosted with a vision and a mission to showcase the inspiring stories and interesting discussions on varied topics to assure great experience for the viewers. So coming back to our speaker, Lieutenant Sandhya Suri. Welcome once again to the show, and I'm really glad to host you.
Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. Lieutenant Sandhya is an ex-naval officer. She is a change enabler, TEDx speaker, and ever-evolving motivational speaker. With a combined 25 years of professional exposure, she has built connections and network for mutually productive collaboration. Well, that is the need of the hour, She believes that those who best thrive in productive areas, not necessarily of prior experience, with latitude of recreating and reinventing what is obsolete, keep a team open to change, growth, and resulting productivity. Beautiful thoughts, Lieutenant Sandhya, I must say. And she likes to mentor on leadership teams, communication, and change management. While I was reading your bio, it also excited me to read that she feels that initiating work-life balance in organization that believes that people are their biggest assets and strength, and has committed to ensuring a healthy work-life balance where individuals are cohesively responsible for each other's growth as much as they are individually accountable for their own. Beautiful, and I feel proud to host you, and the bio really makes me feel nice that there is so much that I can learn today from our show. It is going to be my personal growth as well. So let's start with our conversation, Lieutenant Sandhya. While I was reading,
thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. While I was reading, I really enjoyed the word change enabling. So how it is different from coaching, mentoring, and training?
Right. Okay. So, in terms of coaching, you have a whole variety of, kind of coaches that you can become, and it's a focus area when you look at it. I function mostly in an area which is kind of between where a person feels that they need a coach or a mentor and getting a mentor and a coach. So there's a certain gap that exists. There's a certain space that is there. So as a change enabler, what I do is I open up these little windows for people to see that there are other perspectives available for what their self-belief system has been telling them for now, until now. And if they're confused about, where do you go? So enabling is where a person has to take their own decisions. I'm not going to take that decision for them. They have to do those choices. They have to be accountable for those choices. Because tomorrow, when they succeed, it is about them having made that decision. And that gives them a better degree of, what would you call, self-esteem. So the self-respect, self-esteem is so important for your own growth. And if I tell people what to do, then it's all coming back on you. You can't blame people for your decisions. You have to be accountable for them. It teaches them accountability. It also helps them grow and evolve as people. So that is where I'm doing, when I'm talking about change enabling, it is for people to be able to embrace the change, embrace what is coming in front of them, what is lying ahead. Because change is as constant as death. Two realities, two truths in life, and everything else is just semantics in between. So the more adaptable we are to change and embracing it, the better it is for us. So that is what I kind of enable.
Absolutely. Upscaling yourself is very much required. Something that exists now may not even exist after 5 to 10 years. So, and change, as you mentioned, is constant. That is one thing which will remain the way it is. So we must, adapt and adopt situations, which will definitely help us in our personal growth. There's so much of information, when we read. So how does it go about acquiring learning and being able to evolve? What is your take on that?
The ability to evolving is not an ability, but more of a willingness to. That willingness has to be there first. Ability is, everybody has their own specific talent, their strength, so they will always go with that. But that has nothing to do with ability. The willingness it has to come from within. So the willingness to change, the willingness to adapt, the willingness to upskill yourself, that has to be there. For me, my belief system is that I have one life. So my success factor is not dependent on other people's expectations of me. It's more dependent on my own dreams. I've got a list, a bucket list. Everybody has a bucket list of dreams that they want to fulfill when things to do before I die. That's the list basically. For me, checking things off that list is an achievement. That is success for me. So today I can be an artist, tomorrow I can be a photographer, third day I'm a poet, I'm a writer, I am a traveler. I can do a lot of that, but I'm also a change enabler. So it's just, I'm greedy about life. Let me just put it that way. I think that's just how best I can describe this.
Absolutely, beautifully explained, and at times the values do matter. I really want to know how was your journey as a young officer to the journey that you're leading now.
It has been quite a journey, quite a journey. I was just 22. I was doing my master's just out of college. I was also working. In fact, I was teaching in an army school at that point, preparing for my IPS. And then the call, more than the call, the interviews came in. I had applied for the army first. I wanted to, join the army, but army never called me. Navy's game, army's lost, whatever you want to call it. But we were there very early on. I'm from the third batch. Men were still getting used to women coming into a domain that was purely men. So adaptation for them, sensitization was it's a huge challenge. I won't say it's a problem, but the challenge is really, really huge. So a lot of men, felt the officers, especially the senior lot, also felt like we had to protect them. We didn't need protection. We knew what we were getting in for. So that made a big difference. So there was always this whole fight that I would have. The protest. My biggest protest was, he just called me an officer. I'm not a woman officer. I'm wearing the same uniform. I am doing the same job. And why would you call me a woman officer? There would be a meeting and they'll say, officers and ladies. And I'm like, excuse me, this is an official meeting. Everybody is an officer here. Why are we addressing women separately? So that is something that we had to deal with a lot. I'm not so sure whether women, are dealing with it now. And I hope they're just taken as officers. But they have so many opportunities now to do so much. And it's really nice to see so many of them have joined and they are a part of branches which we didn't have options for. So things have changed. Of course, time has changed. So, it's been 25 years since I left. So huge change. I had an opportunity to serve on a ship, and I think that was a fantastic experience. And I got very disappointed when I was transferred out. And after that, it was basically said that women are not going to be serving on ships anymore. And I said, how can I live in a Navy which doesn't let women serve on ships? Because you've already been there. You've done that experience, and you're like, that is what you're meant to do when you're joining the Navy. And you can't be on a show posting all the time, pushing files. That's not what I felt I should be doing. And so I did leave after 7 years, but it was a tremendous experience. You can't learn team leadership. You can't learn so many things that you actually do learn in life. You learn it there, and you can't learn it anywhere else. It teaches you so much, and it teaches you that everything else, your country will come first. You're always going to be coming last. Your priorities are very different. But then I think after I left, I swapped those priorities. I made sure women also come ahead of your own requirements, your desires. They also have to come first, because change is important. And you can only talk about it when you are actually following the path. Otherwise, there's just no point.
Absolutely, very important. And thankfully, things are changed. While my husband were commanding, we had 8 lady officers, and we had a wonderful time. All officers, whether it was men or a women, they were. And my husband still says that I was very lucky because of my productive team. So things definitely have changed, but the little bit of stereotypical will still be there. So while we're talking about gender, is communication different for genders, and how does it affects professionals or as individuals?
Yes. Well, communication, that's the first. We have learned language, right? So most of us, like you are sitting with me, we're having a conversation. We at least know 2 languages. So what is possible and what is not possible? So women have a certain vocabulary which men don't have, and men have a certain vocabulary which they find it offensive when women use it. So we end up, for example, using words like kind of, maybe, sort of, just. You're making excuses. You're trying to make things comfortable for somebody else. So, when somebody is asking you to do something that makes you uncomfortable, you will not say, it makes me uncomfortable. You'll probably end up saying, it sort of makes me uncomfortable. I don't know. So these are things that you keep saying. And the impact of that sentence, when you are saying something, that gets diminished. If you're talking, I was just trying to help you. And when you say, I was trying to help you, the impact is different. So, for example, when you want somebody to leave, okay, if you ask the person to leave and you say you should leave, you are being firm. But if you say, for example, maybe you should leave, that means the person has an option of not leaving. So I'm not in the mood, or I don't want it. Or when a guy asks you out for a drink, for example, in the corporate world, a lot of that happens. He's asking a woman out for a drink after work, and she doesn't want to go with him. She'll, in 99% of the time, they will make an excuse and say, oh, but I have to go somewhere, maybe another time. She's trying to escape from that particular possibility of having a drink with him today. But she said maybe some other time. So the communication that she's giving him is that, I suppose it's okay if you ask me later, and I might agree to go with you. Whereas the truth is she doesn't want to. She should have just said no. But because we are taught to say yes throughout our lives and make things nice and be accommodating for men, that communication is different. And when women start to, speak like men, they're considered to be rude. So men are very direct in the way they speak, and women are not. Women will say it in a very roundabout manner. It's just by nature of conditioning that they've gone through in their life. And they tend to use softer tone, softer voice, and that's why they sound unsure. And that needs to change. That has to go.
Absolutely. I guess the women gender must learn to stress on words, the right stress on words, the affirmation. They should know to express their rights. And absolutely, wonderfully explained, Little Sandhya. Because, most of the time, they miss on these kind of aspects, and which definitely leads to a lot of communication gaps, and which ends up into complications, conflicts, and then we are sitting to resolve them. But why land up there? Why can't we stress on words then and there when it starts? So very true. So while we're talking about women and gender and all that, so how does one understand a relationship in the context of work-life balance? What is your take on that?
All right, work-life balance. When we're talking about balancing. It's a tricky balancing act for women in comparison with men. I think where men are more woke. When I'm saying woke in terms of sharing home responsibilities, you'll find that relationship is far more sorted. It is balanced where everybody is contributing to the work at home, and that's the reason a woman is probably in the house, is able to relax and find time and feels that yes, there is a sort of balance. The thing is with women is they don't switch off. We can't switch off. We are multitasking all the time because we've got hazar priorities. Even when we are at work, we're coming back, we're thinking of work, we're still doing what needs to be done in the house. There is no fun. You lose out on your moment because you're already thinking ahead ki kal kya karna hai, tomorrow I'm going to make a tiffin like this is the lunch, we also have to go to this relative's place, that has to be done, this birthday party coming up, there's a homework to be done, assignments hai. There are way too many things, and we do not share our load. Women have not shared their load. They don't even know how to ask. They don't ask, and that is where they take it upon themselves, and it gets very crabby. The relationship between even a husband and wife gets crabby. With the kids it gets crabby. The woman has no breathing time. And men, what they do is they switch off from work and then they come home and they're relaxed. They will switch on the TV, they'll keep flipping the remote. You know, a lot of men change channels all the time. 5 minute nahi atkenge ek channel pe, they'll continue to. That's their way of relaxing. But what does a woman do? She just comes in and she gets into the kitchen. So there is no relationship happening, there's no communication happening, there is no fun happening. So to learn to switch off from work is something we need to learn from men. That's one. And second thing is to be able to draw a hard stop to what you're doing. Once your work is over, you can always tell your team after 8 o'clock or after 7 o'clock, there will be no office calls. Unless somebody is dying, there's been an accident, emergency, fire. These are the only reasons, because everything wait until tomorrow. The world is not going to end. It's not going to become a disaster. And that is something I think we need to tell ourselves. We find it very hard because, first of all, we're already fighting for a place at professional level, and we don't want to be seen as somebody who doesn't want to take on work beyond working hours. But where is the balance? Because next day I have to get back to office and still be able to perform well. That balance needs to be happening, and that balance can come a lot with sharing workload. It also comes with being able to do something that you're passionate about. When you're doing something you're passionate about, you don't feel tired. You have a lot of energy because you love doing that, you're skilled at it because of your interest. But otherwise, it's very, very difficult. And for a woman to be able to get work-life balance, she needs to talk. She needs to be able to communicate to the kids, share the workload. Same goes for the children, same goes for the husband, the partner, the in-laws. But if you don't speak, then there's going to be a problem.
Absolutely. What, when we talk about balancing, of course, it is for both the gender to share the responsibility. I remember, if I drive about 8 to 9 hours, continuously, and then after that I go to the kitchen, I expect my husband to do the same, So it does make absolutely, very clearly that is explained. So there's so much that I want to talk with you, because the conversation is absolutely leading to a very beautiful, a value addition to the interview. In the same context, I wanted to know, we talk about privilege, and how at times we say we are privileged, we are underprivileged, or it was, so how do different people coming from different walk of life understand the word privilege in the true sense?
See, in the true sense, privilege is, most times when we look at privilege, we're looking at what we have, right? Between the haves, have-nots, everything is relative. It's on a comparison day. But more than that, privilege is also about what you have not had to undergo as an experience. That's also privilege when you look at it. And that is more human. It has a deeper meaning. If you are born as a man, for example, the privilege is that you will choose, you will decide what you want to do, you will probably go ahead and do it. The privilege is that you will stay with your parents after you get married. The woman will have to move. Your privilege will be about your career. Women don't have those privileges. The privilege is about, a rich man being able to say money is not everything in life, because he comes from a place of privilege. You can't have a man who's living below poverty line say money is not everything in life, because he is going to say it is. That is the truth from where he's coming. So privileges are so different, but the maximum, when we see the disparity in privileges, it's a lot to do with patriarchy. It has a lot to do with women. Whether we like it or not, we are second-class citizens. It's a privilege, a simple thing. Simple pleasures are a privilege for men, which women don't have. When was the last time you got out into a park under a starry sky and just laid gay udhar so that you could watch the stars without feeling scared of being abused or raped or molested? Men have that privilege, women do not have that privilege. When was the last time you got into a local train which was crowded and not have to protect yourself and raise your elbow and find your own space where you would not get hassled? So privilege comes in different forms, and the gender disparity privilege is very, very high. Children, for that matter, education. You're privileged to go to a private school, you speak very fluent English. You're not privileged enough to go to a school which has great labs, but the child might be trying and learning. So it's all about, where you see the world from. Your worldview is not the only worldview. Your worldview it comes from a space of certain privileges and certain things that you've had to experience. And it's very privileged for a man, for example. I'm going to be a little harsh here. It's very privileged for a man, and this is the reality in a corporate sector world. When you are at the end of the month and your boss calls you in on a sales meeting and says, sales kya hua sales ka? And if you've not completed your sales, you really get rogered. So rogered is I would say, an official an army term or a military term. When you say rogered, you know ki you've gotten your case. But these men, when they come out, they normally say, mere boss ne mera aaj rape kar dala meeting mein. You don't get it. You have no idea what it is, the trauma there is to rape. And in India, there's a rape happening every 7-8 minutes. 14 was the official number, but trust me, it is lesser. So for a woman or a child or anybody who has undergone abuse, every 15 minutes that trauma revisits. And you have to learn to get over that. By the time you're on your 14th minute and you've gotten a hold of yourself, there's one more news coming and hitting you. That, not experiencing that is privilege. Talking casually about it is privilege. So, I mean, I could go on all night, but that's just how it is. I hope I'm able to put that across.
Absolutely. I really, it's so true that at times privileges are misunderstood or they are not taken in the right manner. And of course, then what are the end results after that. Thank you so much, Sandhya. I really want to talk a lot with you. And this conversation is definitely making us understand the cruel part of the society and the stereotypical issues that we feel. So, last question that I want to ask before we, wind up: how does conditioned life restrict our own growth? At times we talk about that, and why do you think it is important that to learn and make use of one's life to evolve and help others? Here, it's not a gender-biased question; it is a general question. So, how do you think it will help us? Yeah.
So, when we're talking about conditioning is about this is how it has always been done, and this is how it should always be done. So the always part of it comes from generations and generations of conditioning that this is how you will live your life, this is how you will marry, this is how you will grow up, this is how you will educate yourself, this is how you will speak, this is how you will talk. It's all conditioning. And it's not, this is across the board. So what happens is because of the conditioning, we may have dreams in our head, we don't fulfill them because we have to restrict ourselves into that zone where we are talking only about how we have to adapt to a world which wants us and expects things out of us. But we forget, parents forget that they have their own dreams which they should be fulfilling, but kids have their own dreams, for example. But a lot of parents push those dreams to their children. कि मैं खुश नहीं रह सका तो तुम तो खुश रहो, तुम्हारी खुशी के लिए मैं कर रहा हूँ. But really, are you asking the child what they want out of life? I don't think so. Because I do counseling in terms of change enabling for children. I see that all the time. Teenagers and parents, they are in a tussle. There's a conflict right there, which hasn't gotten sorted. So This is also connected to something about, stepping out of your discomfort. Everything nice, everything magical, everything awesome in life is right outside your comfort zone. Everything. But if you are sitting on the fence, you're thinking about it and you never try, you will never know. You will never find out. And this whole life will go. When do you want to sit and think about it? When you're 80, I kash maine ye kiya hota. No, you had time and you should be doing it. You need to not betray your now. बच्चों को prepare ki we are preparing our kids for growing up and becoming great adults. But बचपन भी तो life है. They need to live like children as well. We forget that most of the time. We want them to become grown-ups really soon. But childhood, we forget that childhood also exists, and that is also life. That is also to be experienced. Same is with us. Our dreams, everything is in this one life. We have to experience that. Things that we wanted to do before we got married. For example, girls have a lot of dreams that get shattered. Men have a lot of dreams that get shattered. And to be able to live up to those dreams, because you owe it to yourself. When you were born, there's only been one person who has stood by you throughout your life, and that is you, yourself. Nobody else. You have been always there for yourself. And think about it. Your survival rate today is 100%, and that's a pretty good number. It's a great rate of survival. But what has been with you throughout is you. So why would you not pay attention to what you want, what you desire, what you want to achieve in life? And don't be so stingy about it. You owe that to yourself. So when you're talking about self-love, you're talking about fulfilling our dreams. Give at least half an hour of your life to that. आधे टाइम में बोलते हैं हमारे पास टाइम नहीं, आधा घंटा तो निकाल के रखो. Just keep that space for yourself. It is a sacred space, and you need to evolve. And to evolve, you need that space for yourself. You need to breathe, and that's so important. I think, more than anything else, this pandemic has taught us how important it is to be able to breathe and get space. So that's what I meant, when you're talking about your dreams, achievements, everything is now. Never bother about log kya kahenge, log kehte rahenge until they find something more important to talk about. वो होता रहेगा. But don't kill your dreams because of those 3 words. They don't really care. It doesn't matter. You matter, and you need to do these things for yourself.
Exactly. Living in our presence and living a contented life is very important. And I can keep listening to what you're saying, and it's a beautiful conversation, I must say. But I said it was the last question, but one more question I want to ask. And what are the tips or takeaways you would like to give to young girls and women? Because this is definitely a women special edition that we are, hosting. So what are your tips for the young girls and women viewers?
What I would like to say is that, each of you are powerful beyond measure. You are in this world to experience far better things than, guilt, blame, pain, obligation, oppression. You are here to feel things that is going to delight you, startle you, make you go, make you feel awed, make you feel things that you've not felt before, and use the senses that you have to the best of your abilities. Because, if you're not proud of who you are, you can always start. You need to face your fears. And what are you scared of? Of your darkness? Most of us women are not scared of darkness. We've seen enough in life to not be scared. We are scared of our own brilliance. We are scared of all the things that we can become, the ability to become, the ability to be able to be brilliant. And all we need is that courage. Don't run away, don't turn away from yourself, because you owe that to yourself as a person, as an individual, as a human being, because you're a human being first, a gender later. But become a human being first and demand it when you don't get it. Don't take no for an answer.
Thank you so much, Lemhi Sandhya. It is indeed a pleasure to host you. And in the end, I just want to say, a lamp doesn't speak, it introduces through a light. Achievers never expose themselves, but their achievements expose them. That's what I feel after talking to you. Thank you once again, and indeed a privilege to host you.
Thank you, ma'am. The pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Fauji Talks is brought to you by IESECCI, Indian Ex-Defence Service Employees Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Thanks to its vast veteran network and global and pan-India associates, IESECCI can carry out various commerce facilitations and CSR projects across India and the world. Some of IESECCI's core capability areas are Skill India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, Digital India, any ex-serviceman welfare or job program, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan related projects, telemedicine and healthcare training and job scheme, Save Water scheme, defence industry SME, MSME cluster and hub development, maritime training and inland water training with job facilitation, Canada study, job and permanent residency opportunity, e-commerce, Andaman and Nicobar commerce opportunities. IESECCI's global reach includes countries like Indonesia, Slovakia, Canada, Nepal, Singapore, Rwanda, USA, UK. Above all, it is IESECCI's effort to create a veterans brand made by the veterans, for the veterans and made up of the veterans. Every Indian's support is invaluable in this journey. IESECCI is a registered society for ex-servicemen's welfare and envisions that every veteran should be a part of India's economic growth story. It is the aim of IESECCI to create an enabling commerce platform that will empower and synergize the veterans' talent pool. This is possible only with the support of entrepreneurs, businesses and consultants from civil society. All proceeds, if any, are utilized for the welfare of ex-servicemen and for public charity.